שיעור הרב נחמיה, טיילור.
Okay. So, what we're going to speak about the next 4 or 5 shiurim, are, well, concepts. Well, hold on. Okay. Concepts regarding Eretz Yisrael. Okay, this is the month from Pesach until Shavuot, where there's the mitzvah of Sfirat HaOmer, which is basically a mitzvah in Eretz Yisrael. Modern day history has created that between Pesach and Shavuot we have Yom HaShoah, Yom HaZikaron, Yom HaAtzmaut, Yom Yerushalayim, and therefore Eretz Yisrael is integrated into this period. And that's why I've decided to learn certain concepts regarding Eretz Yisrael. Now, okay, I do not give my opinions. Never. Okay, what we're going to learn, and I'm a multiple type of guy. That means I'm a pluralistic guy. Which means to say, I create my shiurim from many, many different sources, and I try to give objective concepts without bringing any subjectivity into it. Everybody, what? I'm saying I try to. I try to, Phil, okay? And I think you've known me long enough that you will find it very, very hard to bring me into modern day politics. Okay? Because I'm not there. Okay? And therefore what we're going to learn is we're going to try to give multiple concepts regarding Eretz Yisrael, the conceptual idea of how Eretz Yisrael goes through the Tanakh, Mishnah, etc., and commentators on the Torah. Now, there's something happened here which I don't know what happened, that some of it was left out, but we'll try to deal with it the way we can. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to base it. You can see there's a whole space at the bottom, so obviously either I forgot to attach it or I don't know what happened. Okay, what we're going to do, what we're going to try to base it on, or the premise of the concepts which we're going to deal with, is the introduction of Rav Kook regarding Eretz Yisrael. Now, the reason I've chosen him as the basis, and I've given also the English translations, because Rav Kook is Rav Kook, especially this period of his writing already, and we will try to analyze each concept which he develops. Now, one of the biggest problems with Rav Kook, in inverted problems, is that in his later years, he never brought sources to what he said. Okay, his son, Reb Tzvi Yehuda, tried to give at the end of each sefer the sources, but he didn't do that. Rav Kook himself didn't. He wrote it like that. Okay, he had this uncanny capability of synthesizing concepts from multiple sources. That was his greatness. His greatness was his ability to synthesize from multiple sources, Gemaras, Mishnah, Kabbalah, all the Rishonim, all the Achronim, and that's what he does. And therefore, what we do is we try to break it down into component parts. So let's start off, okay, from the first principle. Eretz Yisrael einenu davar chitzoni. It's not something external. Kinyan chitzoni la'umah. Something external to the nation. That means it's not just a land where people live. Rak betor emtsa'i, only for a means to a goal. של התאחדות הכללית והחזקת קיומו החומרי או אפילו רוחני. It's not a goal. Okay? It's not an object. It's not something where we happen to live for the good of us because it's a nice country and great, etc., etc., etc. Guys, we're not there. That's not Eretz Yisrael for the Jewish people. What is it then? Eretz Yisrael, hi chativa atzmutit, is an independent unit, kshura, connected, bekesher chayim im ha'umah, chavuka, bound, biskulotea pnimiyut im metziuta, with the existence of the Jewish people. That means to say, the land and the people are the same. One cannot exist without the other. There's no existence. Now, this concept, where does it stem from? And that's what we're going to do. We're going to break down each concept. So let's start off. The first source, line number 50. Please look line number 50. So, yeah, next page. Line number 50. Okay? Every single day we see the following statement. Ki u amar vayehi. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, and it took place. Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, tziva, commanded, vayamod. And the world began. Ki bachar Hashem b'Tzion, HaKadosh Baruch Hu chooses Tzion, Iva, he desired, l'moshav lo. Ki Yaakov bachar lo ya, HaKadosh Baruch Hu chooses Yaakov Avinu, Yisrael nisgulato.
What is the source for this?
You say every single day.
Yeah, but the sender is copying Tehillim. What is the original source?
Tehillim. Each one of these psukim is a pasuk in Tehillim.
Tehillim came from David HaMelech or Tehillim.
David, exactly, right, but, and here comes the big but, they are psukim from Tehillim. Very good. But there's one problem. The problem is that each of these psukim are mentioned in different places in Tehillim. They are not one after the other. They exist in separate chapters. They exist in separate chapters. What? Very good. So who created this? Anybody who looks in Yehi Chavod will see that each one of the psukim of Yehi Chavod is a different pasuk in Tehillim. Not like Ashrei until the end of Psukei de Zimra, which are the last 5 chapters of Tehillim. Yehi Chavod is a collection of psukim set out in a certain order. Set out in a certain order. Now, when was this compiled? When was this order compiled? Right. The source of it is in an external Masechet. Anybody who will look in Masechet Avodah Zarah at the end, here, we'll see what is called at the bottom here. Those of you who have got good eyesight, but it's very small. Masechtot Ktanot. Harold can testify I'm reading correctly. Correct, Harold?
Masechtot Ktanot.
Right. Masechtot Ktanot. In the time of the Tanoim, different Masechtot were arranged, which Rabbi Yehuda HaNosi does not put in the Mishnah. They are external Masechtot. To give ourselves an example, a famous one is Masechet Geirim. How do you convert? Now, there's no Mishnah on Geirus. You won't find a Mishnah on Geirut. Where is it? It's in an external Masechet called Masechet Geirim. It's all at the end here of Avodah Zarah. And, for instance, there's Masechet Tefillin. There's Masechet Tzitzis. All different short Masechtot, each one of about 3 chapters. There's another one called Avot de Rabbi Natan, which is an extra, which was an additional commentary on Masechet Avot, which Rabbi Yehuda Nossi wrote. Now, within this, you have the most fascinating Masechet, which is called Masechet Sofrim. Masechet Sofrim speaks about davening and Kriyas HaTorah, and how a Sefer Torah should look, and how the Haftarot were. Where do we know all the sources of all the different Haftarot? It's in Masechet Sofrim. Now, why didn't Rabbi Yehuda Nossi write it? Why didn't he put this in the Mishnah? And the answer to this is that the Rambam says in the 4th Perek of Masechet Menachot in his commentary on the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda Nossi didn't write things which everybody knew. Everybody knew how tefillin looked. Everybody knew how tzitzis looked. Because it was something daily. They lived with it. So therefore Rabbi Yehuda Nossi didn't write things which everybody knew about. For instance, and that's why he doesn't write laws of what you say in tefillah. He didn't write it. What's his first Mishnah? What's Rabbi Yehuda Nossi's first Mishnah? Me'ei matai korim. The problem is not what to say, but when. That was the machloket. He never speaks about what you say when you daven. How does he begin the laws of tefillah, the 4th Perek of Brochos, when you can start davening? Because that people weren't sure of. What you say, everybody knew. How you put on tefillin, everybody knew. Okay? Sukkah, everybody knew what it was, be'erech. The exact details that Rabbi Yehuda Nossi puts in. So, in Masechet Sofrim is the first time we have, look in line number 55, Aval tzrichim lomar achar yihi kavod. After you say yihi kavod, you've got to say Psukei de Zimra. Let's look in one of the great commentators on the Shulchan Aruch. Va'achar kach, called the Levush. Ramon Chayafe lives in the same time as the Ramah, the 1500s. Va'achar kach omrim Psukei yihi kavod. K'mo shehem mesudarim. Ad Hashem Moshiach Melech Yanenu V'Yom Koreinu. Ki kulam, line number 60, kulam psukei shvachem. They are all sentences of praise to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'kalalam zeh hu k'mo akdama letehila leDavid. And they are an introduction to Psukei de Zimra. These psukim are an introduction. Now, look what he says. V'lachein omrim elu psukim sheyesh behem chaf aleph azkarot. There are 21 in the psukim of Yichavod. 21 times the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mentioned. Kshetachshov, how do you get to that? Kshetachshov rashi tevot shel yismechu hashamayim v'tagel haaretz. Yismechu yud hashamayim hey tagel vav haaretz hey yud kei vav kei להזכרה אחת. ושם של יוד ה' בפסוקים כי יעקב בחר לו יה להזכרה אחת. The word ya is the name of Hashem. יהיו כף א', there are 21 הזכרות כנגד כף א' פסוקים of Ashrei. Introduction. 21 times HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name is mentioned in Ashrei. In 21 sentences of Ashrei, 21 psukim or sentences where HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name is mentioned. In Yehi Chavod. Right. So therefore Yehi Chavod is exact. It's exact. It's not just made up. It's there for a purpose. In the time of the Tanoim, they took different psukim of Tehillim and put it in a certain order. Now, the first part speaks about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the honor of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the world. Yichvod Hashem, L'olam, Yismach Hashem, Ma'asav, Yishem Hashem, etc., etc., etc. And then you get to the middle part. And that's what's so important in the middle part. Because how did they arrange the middle part? And that comes to answer your question. What did they do here? They created an order. The first posuk in line number 51 is Ki hu amar vayehi. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, abracadabra, it will be. Hu siva vayamod. And then he commanded that each thing which he said at the beginning would be placed in a certain way. He said there will be the earth, there will be water. Where it will be, that was the second stage. We're going to learn Rabbeinu B'chaya, and that's the first stage which David HaMelech does when he wants to describe creation. Hu amar vayehi, he said vayehi, or you take the pasuk Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim va'aretz v'ha'is ha'sosov v'avoy v'choshech al pnei k'tom vayomer Elokim. What's the first word? Yehi. That's what he says. Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim va'aretz is not HaKadosh Baruch Hu saying it. It's what? It's creating a fact. Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim v'aretz v'ha'is ha'sosov v'avoy v'choshech al pnei k'tom vayomer Elokim. What's the first word? Yehi. Hu amar vayehi. Hu amar vayehi. Right? In the next 6 days of creation was tziva vayamod. Commanded where it's going to be. Let's look in Rabbeinu B'chaya. Says Rabbeinu B'chaya. V'zehu line number 65. V'zehu dat Rabbi Nechemya. Shebiyom Rishon Nivra Olam. No, it's okay. It's not my opinion. Don't worry. Zedat Rabbi Nechemya. Shebiyom Rishon Nivra Olam. Shekach Amru Bamidrash. Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Nechemya. Machloket, difference of opinion between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Nechemya. Rabbi Yehuda Omer b'shisha yamim nivra kol haolam. Creation took place over 6 days. Shekein kativ b'maaseh shel kol yom v'yom v'yihi chen. And it was. Rabbi Nechemya Omer bayom arishon nivra kol haolam. Everything was created. The plan was there. Everything. All the substance, all the material was there. Only what takes place? Shekein katuv totseh haaretz. Davar shu pakud umuchan biyada mibreshis. Something which is ready from the beginning. Mashal lema davar domeh. La'adam shezara. Shesh so'orim v'vatachat. Gets 6 bundles of barley. And he sows them all in one day. Ze yatza b'yom rishon. The first bundle managed to come out the first day. The second bundle, the second, etc., etc. V'chein kulam. Ubarur dat Rabbi Nechemya b'mashal hazeh. Ki hachomesh shemimenu haya hakol nivra b'yom rishon. V'achar kach, and afterwards nivru kol hanivraim b'sheshet yimei yamim michelkei hachomer, from all the different bits of material which HaKadosh Baruch Hu had. Kol echad ve'echad v'yomo. V'zeu shekatav hu amar vayehi. He said on day 1, it will be. Bi'er. Ki hakol haya ba'amira u'v'havaya achat. In 1 second. V'achar kach tziva dvar yom b'yomo. He commanded every single day where it will be put. That's the vision of Rabbi Nechemya in creation. But that doesn't worry me. We're not talking about creation. We're going to the next pasuk. Line number 50. Let's go back. So therefore, Yehi Chavod speaks about the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then he goes in creation. Next. What's the next thing HaKadosh Baruch Hu does? Ki bachar Hashem b'Tzion. HaKadosh Baruch Hu chooses a place. Now, bechira, choosing. He has a choice. He has a choice of many places, because that's the world he's created. But where does he choose his house, in inverted commas? B'tzion. Iva, desired, lemoshav lo. So the first thing HaKadosh Baruch Hu is, where am I going to live? In inverted commas. Where am I going to be? What is the next choice? The next choice is, who are the people? Who are the people who are going to live in that land? So therefore, what is the first choice of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? The first thing HaKadosh Baruch Hu chooses is where. And the second choice is who. Not the other way around. That's why when we learn this, okay, when we learn V'yihi Chavod, we have to be, why did Masechet Sofrim create the order of the Psukim? Why didn't they change it round? Why didn't they put Am Yisrael before Eretz Yisrael? No, it didn't work like that. What's first? The where. And the second one is who. Any questions until now? We don't usually learn like that. We don't. But here...
But this is all opinion.
Pardon?
This is all opinion.
I agree with you, but you've been davening it for 2,000 years.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, I agree. You could change it round. I can change it round. But it wasn't. And nobody ever argued with it. Okay? That is how...
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay? There are two other bechirot of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The bechira of land, the bechira of a nation. Then comes, how did the bechira of a nation come around? Okay? Was it in the original plan of creation? Or was it a process? We say every single day, Ki bachar Hashem ba'Avram. HaKadosh Baruch Hu chooses Avraham. Avram. Okay? Which we're not going to go into. Because if we're speaking about Am Yisrael, then we've got to speak about that. But here we're not going to speak about that. Then comes the Bechira of the Kohanim. Okay? But in this, the two initial concepts which we have here is number one, Bechira of Eretz Yisrael, and now the Bechira of Am Yisrael. That's the order which the people who wrote, now that's why was so important. You a minute ago, you said about the Psukim of Tehillim. Okay? The Pasuk which Bachar Hashem B'Tzion comes even later in the Sefer Tehillim than Bachar Hashem B'Yakov. But yet, in the order of our Tefillot, they created it that the Bechira of Am Yisrael comes before, the Bechira of Eretz Yisrael comes before the Bechira of whom? Am Yisrael. Now, where do we learn this from? Okay, now that's what we're going to speak about. Let's go back to Rav Kook. Eretz Yisrael hi chativa atzmutit, is an independent unit. Kshura bekesher chayim im ha'uma, with a living attachment to its nation. Chavuka, bound, bisgulot pnimiyot im metziuta, bound together. They go together. Okay, you can't break them down, and that's what Yichavad speaks about. They are both the choice of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bechira. That's what it means, Bechira. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'am, v'natan lanu et Torato. Bechira means choice. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu chooses, in the initial stages of creation, two independent ideas, a land and a nation, and He binds them together. He binds them together. He ties them together. One without the other doesn't exist. Now, umitoch kach, and because of this, אי אפשר לעמוד על התוכן של סגולת קדושת ארץ ישראל, and you can't, impossible to comprehend the inner סגולה of the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael, ולהוציא לפועל את עומק חיבתה, and to reveal the depths of its love, בשום השכלה רציונלית אנושית. It's got nothing to do with rationalization. Don't start coming to rationalize why Eretz Yisrael belongs to us. Why? Ki im beruach Hashem asher ala umah bichlala. Because only through the Spirit of Hashem which acts on the nation. It is something which is a godly creation. It is something which is a godly choice. And that's what is said here. Ki bachar Hashem b'tzion. The first bechira is the where. And the next one is the whom. Ba'atba'a tivit aruchanit, only through the Spirit asher b'nishmat Yisrael, in the soul of Am Yisrael. And now he says the most unbelievable statement. Shehi, she, Am Yisrael, sholachat, sends, et kaveha, bitzva'im tiviyim, b'chol ha'orchot shel ha'kedushat habriya. The translation is, this Ruach Hashem on the nation, the natural spirit formation of Israel's soul, sends its rays in all paths. And what do we mean here? This was line number 25, guys. What do we mean? You've got a prism. Eretz Yisrael and Am Yisrael are like a prism. And if you put a ray of light through a prism, you'll get the colors of the spectrum. Eretz Yisrael is like a spectrum. It sends out ripples of Kedusha. And Am Yisrael in Eretz Yisrael send out ripples of Kedusha. That is the essence of the godly choice. Because it's not something which we rationalize in a way that what? That it's logical. Guys, it ain't logical. It's not. It's not a logical formulation. It's something which, in the way the Tanakh will describe our connection to Eretz Yisrael, is something far deeper than that. The emanation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world is through two dimensions. The where, which is Eretz Yisrael, the whom, Am Yisrael, and the how is the Torah. Three questions. The where, the whom, and the how. And when you collect all these things together, then you have Kedusha. Where, whom, and how.
What about when?
That is the Bereshis of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Time is HaKadosh Baruch Hu's first creation. Remember that. First thing HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates is time. Bara Elokim Bereshis, says the Sforim. And that's what's written in the Targum Hashivim, the Septuagint. It's written, Bara Elokim Bereshis. HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates time. Theory of relativity of Einstein. I'm not a physicist. But time is a dimension in which we live in. And it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's concept of time. So the first thing is the when is HaKadosh Baruch Hu's secret. That remains his secret. Okay? Think to yourselves. Three things HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't give the key to anybody else. One is Tchias HaMeisim, Gemara Maseches Tainis, Daf Beis Amud Aleph. The time of Tchias HaMeisim, giving birth, Mafteach Shel Leida, when children are born, because that's a creation, and who HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives the power to procreate, and weather. Today, guys, is Chof Daled Nisan. Nobody can tell me what the weather's going to be like. Chof Daled Nisan Tafshin Pei Hey. And nobody can tell you what the weather's going to be like. Chof Daled Tishrei Tafshin Pei Vav. Weather is the secret of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's kept to himself three secrets. One is time. One is who's going to be Zocher to have children. The third one is weather. Weather.
Is this Talmud?
Pardon?
Is this the source, the Talmud?
Yeah. Gemara says Talmud says in Masechet Tanit. So therefore, the when is God's secret. The where, the whom, and the how, Kodesh Baruch Hu revealed. Right. Let's carry on. Any questions until now? This is the thesis. This is the thesis. And therefore, yeah.
If this was all created at the outset, in terms of the time, Israel didn't exist as a nation then, but it must have existed as something.
Correct.
What was it at the time?
Oh. The question is, and which is a machloket between the Kuzari and the Ramban, is Eretz Yisrael, is Am Yisrael a default or the plan? Default or the plan?
How could it be a default?
I'll explain to you in a minute. The Kuzari claims that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the seed, the orange, the middle of it. And all the other nations are like a peel. We are the fruit and they are the peel. That was the original plan. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created one nation, one man, then his second son, and there was always all the 10 people, the 10 Asara Dorot, Avraham, Moshe, and Noach, they were the Skula, they were the essence, and all the rest were the outsiders. There was only one player in the world which HaKadosh Baruch Hu appointed. Generation after generation, until you came to Yaakov Avinu, and from there, the 12 tribes. But that was the plan. One nation who will be responsible for the spiritual essence of the world. That is the opinion of the Kuzari. The whole of Ma'amar Rishon, the first Ma'amar, which is made up of 125, Kuzari is a conversation between the king and the Chacham. That is the theory of the Kuzari. The Ramban says no. The Ramban says that everybody, all the children of Adam Arishon, had the same free choice. We came out because everybody rebelled. Mirz Hashem, we will carry on, learn that Ramban, because that is the essence of who gets Eretz Yisrael. So according to the Kuzari, we were there originally because there are two choices. Kodesh Baruch Hu chooses Am Yisrael and he chooses Eretz Yisrael. According to the Ramban, until Avraham Avinu, everybody has a choice. Everybody could have fallen in to the wagon and they could have all got Eretz Yisrael. Everybody. How did they get out of it? Averos, sins. That we'll learn in the Ramban, which is supposed to be on the page. But that is the essence, and that's the answer to your question. Was the plan one nation, or are we a default?
What he actually created was the plan, it wasn't the physical...
No, because in the world of the Ramban, everybody has free choice. There was no such thing as one person who's complete. No, everybody has free choice. And you all could all choose. Because if the minute you say that, like the Kuzari, you automatically come and say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what does he do? He clones people in a certain way. And that was the plan, cloning. One person, that's it. According to the Ramban, it doesn't work like that. And that's what we're going to learn in Mirz Hashem when we get to Eretz Yisrael in the vision of Bereshis. Right. Now, Hamachshava, line number 28. Hamachshava, the thought. Al Dvar Eretz Yisrael. Oh, regarding Eretz Yisrael. Shirak Erech Chitzoni. It's got something peripheral. It's not intrinsic. Kedei ha'amadat agudat ha'uma. In order to establish a place where people can live. Afilu kshiba, even when we think that we need a place to live in because of the galut, afilu kshiba kedei levatzer al yada et rayon hayudi bagola. Okay, what did Herzl believe in? Anti-Semitism. The Jews have to have a place where to live in. Says Rav Kook, that's not the objective of Eretz Yisrael. It's not just a place to live. Even more so, Kedei lishmor et sivyono, to guard its identity. Ulametz et ha'emunah, and to strengthen faith va'yira. Va'chizuk shel mitzvot amasyot b'tzura aguna, in order that you can keep mitzvahs in a better way. So why do we need a land? The land is just a means. Helps us to keep more mitzvahs. That could also be an option. The Rashbam, for instance, in Baba Basra comes along and says, why can't you leave Eretz Yisrael? Because, why have you got to live in Eretz Yisrael? Because you keep more mitzvahs. So therefore, what is Eretz Yisrael then? Is it a place to keep more mitzvahs? That was the opinion of the Rashbam. The Baalei HaTosot, that some of them held like that. The reason why we need Eretz Yisrael is to keep more mitzvahs. HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded us to 613 mitzvahs. Some of them depend on time, some of them depend on land, some of them depend on gender, etc., etc. No, Rav Kook says. No, guys, it's not that. It's not to make us more frum, to be able to keep more mitzvahs. Ein la hapri hara'ui lekiyum, ki hayesod hazeh hu ra'ua. This foundation is rotten, is bad. Okay? Ki hayesod hazeh hu ra'ua be'erech eitan hakodesh shel Eretz Yisrael. Guys, we're not here because to keep more mitzvahs. We're not here because of anti-Semitism. We don't live in Eretz Yisrael because what? Because of all these things. No. It's something far deeper than that. Next page. Ha'imutz ha'amiti. The concept of Judaism. Shel rayon hayudi bagola. Bo yavo rak mitzad. Omek shiku'o be'Eretz Yisrael. The depth of its involvement in Eretz Yisrael. Umitikvat Eretz Yisrael, and the hope of Eretz Yisrael, yikabel tamid et kol tchunotav atzmiyot. Only through the longing of Eretz Yisrael will we be able to keep it. Think to yourself, how many brochos in Shmona Esrei speak about Eretz Yisrael? Yerushalayim Yericho. Okay? חשיב השבתנו כל אשר ויציגו בתחילה ועושה ממני יגוב מלוך עלינו אתה השם לבדך בחסד ורב צדקנו וברכת השם מלך אוהב צדקה ומשפט. Then על הצדיקים ועל החסידים. Then you've got ירושלים. Then you've got צמח דוד. You've got ותחזינו עינינו רוצה השם אלוקינו. Eretz Yisrael plays some massive part in a whole vision. And then he says ציפיית ישועה, the yearning of salvation, הוא כוח המעמיד של היהדות הגלותית והיהודית של ארץ ישראל, היא הישועה עצמה. Judaism of Eretz Yisrael is the salvation. ציפית לישועה. What does the Nusach Sfard say, guys? את צמח דוד עבדך מאיר תצמיח. וכאן תרום בישועתך, כי לישועתך קיווינו כל היום. And what does Nusach Sfard say? ומצפים לישוע. Our whole vision is this salvation of Eretz Yisrael.
That's religious Zionism.
Pardon?
Religious Zionism.
I don't know. That's your opinion.
Well, that's his opinion.
I never said no. It's not. He doesn't mention one word about Zionism and religion. We translate it into words which we like to use. I'm not saying that. Religious Zionism is a political concept. Rav Kook wasn't a politician. He related to it in a way far deeper than just a title.
Religious Zionism is both religion and Zionism.
I don't know what that means, because in my opinion everything goes into the religion.
There are a lot of Jews
I
who
don't
have
get it.
religion.
Okay, I'm telling you.
But you would say
Okay.
that the way you
I don't want to put it into terms like that.
It's both though, that's all.
Pardon?
It's together, that's all.
No, it's far deeper than that. It stems
Okay,
from...
but that's-
Okay, you want to box it into little boxes, they're not well and good, but I don't like to box
as a
it.
potential convert.
Okay?
As a potential convert, I can see we're so prone, especially for America, to put things in the
Exactly, with little
We have
boxes.
to undo that.
That's what I'm trying to do.
The Satmar
Undo
Rebbe
it.
agreed with this.
Pardon?
The Satmar Rebbe agreed with this.
Of course he did. There's nothing wrong. Except the only problem is the when. Going to Satmar Rebbe.
Connotations-
When?
Connotations kill.
Pardon?
Now I asked Drew.
Right, when? When is the time when all these three things come together?
I mean,
So, do we use it in our own? Do we ourselves create it? Or do we rely on HaKadosh Baruch Hu to do it? That was the machloket. But conceptually, all this is correct. Let's start off. Yes, you wanted to ask something. And that's why I said I want to try to be as objective as possible, and I'm not bringing my opinions back. That's why I don't like boxes.
So the connection, is it the nation or individual?
The nation.
As an individual.
It's something inherent in the nation of the Jewish people.
What's the definition of the nation?
Pardon?
What is the nation?
We are, pardon? All those who accepted upon ourselves Torah. The how? HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose us as a nation to live in Eretz Yisrael, and how to live there is the Torah. That's what it is. The three. The who, the where, and the how. That is what it is. And where did the nation stem from? Abraham, Shnei Masor Shiftei Koch. Right? You are part of a certain nation. Okay, genealogy. Now let's start off, and I don't want to go on a tangent of the whom, because that is a whole different section, how we got there. Let's start off with the where. Let's start off with the where. Ki bachar Hashem b'tzion. That's our first pasuk. Let's start off. Let's look in the Rambam. The Rambam Hilchos Beis HaBchira. HaMizbeach, line number 75. HaMizbeach, Mekomo, Mechuvan Beyoter. It has an exact place. We're talking about the Mizbeach in the Beis HaMikdosh, Mizbach HaNechoshet, the one outside, the very big altar. Not the one in the Kodesh, in the Heichal, where the Mizbach HaZahav. The Mizbeach, where David HaMelech chose, in Goren Arvan HaYevusi. המזבח מכוון ביותר. ואין משנים אותו ממקומו לעולם. You can never change the place. שנאמר, זה מזבח לעולה ישראל. שלמה המלך says, this is the place of the עולה of עם ישראל. ובמקדש, in this place, נעקד יצחק אבינו. Where we know of the Mizbeach is the place where Yitzchok had the Akedah. שנאמר, לך לך אל ארץ המוריה. ונאמר בדברי היומי, ויחל שלמה לבנות את בית השם בירושלים בהר המוריה, אשר נראה לדוד אביהו, אשר הכין במקום דוד בגורן ארנן היבוסי. Carries on the Rambam and he says, ומסורת ביד הכל, line number 79. ומסורת ביד הכל. I don't know, you've got different pages here. I mean, that's why.
Well, I printed this.
Oh, you printed it. Okay, you got me
I
worried.
printed it.
ומסורת ביד המקום, ביד הכל. שהמקום בו דוד ושלמה, שבנה בו דוד ושלמה מזבח בגורן ארוון היבוסי, הוא המקום שבנה לו אברהם המזבח ועקד עליו יצחק. הוא המקום שבנה בו נוח כשיצא מן התיבה. והוא המזבח, and this is the altar, שהקריב עליו קין והבל. ובו הקריב אדם הראשון קורבן כשנברא, ומשם נברא. A medrash of Chazal, which the Rambam accepts 100%, is that Adam Arishon was the material, the afar. Let's think to ourselves, what does he say? How was Adam Arishon created? Afar min adama. Where was the Adoma? Where was the land from which the Afar was taken?
Gan Eden.
Yerushalayim. The place of the Mikdash. Uvo hikriv Adam harishon korban kshenivra umisham nivra. From there he was created. That was the Afar min ha'adama. Amru chachamim Adam mimkom kaparato nivra. The place where he gets atoned for his sin, Adam Arishon, that's where he was created. That means Adam Arishon, in order to get a kapora, an atonement for his sin, he has to offer it up from the place where he was created. Think to yourselves, what is the concept of burial? What's written in the Torah? Where's the Chumash? What? Yeah. But I want to read the pasuk. 1 minute. No Chumashim here. Okay. I've got. 1 minute here. 1 minute. No. Sorry. Okay then.
No, they're
Look in the back.
they're in the hall.
Okay, doesn't matter. Forgive me. Oh, you got one. Thanks.
And that's what the one
Okay, what does HaKadosh Baruch Hu say to Adam Arishon? You quoted the sentence properly. It says, בזה אטפך תאכל לחם עד שובך אל האדמה, כי ממנו לוקחת, כי עפר אתה, ואל עפר תשוב. What does that mean? It means to say that the cause of a person's life is the material which he's made from, and he goes back to the same material where he was created from. Afar. Adam Arishon, in order to get kapora, what does he need to do? Not only will he go back to the original place, but he will have to, what? What will he have to do? He'll have to offer up the korban in the place from where it was created. What is the source of the Gemara, of the Rambam? Let's go back, go to the next stage.
Can I just ask a quick question about Noach? I thought Noach, the ark landed in Ararat. Isn't that a long way away from there?
But where do you know where he did his korban?
It says he came out. I mean, it doesn't say exactly.
It doesn't say where exactly.
We went on a long schlep.
Correct, okay, we don't even know where Harei Arat. Have you ever been there before? Could be anywhere, correct? We don't know.
A lot of customers going
Right.
to that place.
Right. Let's go. Says the Gemara. Meshenital Aron, says the Mishnah. Even Aita Shama. The sign of the second base of Mikdash, line number 85. Even Aita Shama. Miyimot Nevim Rishonim. There was a stone there. A stone in the place of the Mizbeach. Miyimot Nevim Rishonim. Ushtiya Haita Nikret. And it was called Even Hashtiya. We all know it. But why was it called Even Hashtiya? Says the Gemara, Tana, Shemimena Hushtat Ha'olam. From that place, the world was stretched. You have a piece of chewing gum, guys. You pull it and you pull it and you pull it and you pull it until you make this enormous thing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the first material which HaKadosh Baruch Hu created was there. It is the meeting point between the spiritual and the physical. How HaKadosh Baruch Hu created something from nothing, don't ask me. We don't know. But what we do believe is HaKadosh Baruch Hu created Adama, soil. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created something. What was the first bit which he created? What was it? Where was it? Where did he plant it? And according to Chazal, what did he do? He put the first piece of material the place of the Mizbeach. From there, he stretched and stretched until he made the world. That is the vision of Chazal. That is the vision of Chazal. That means Eretz Yisrael basically is the center, the epicenter of the spiritual and the physical of the world. There's a very famous parak in the first chapter of Kalim, of Taharot, where the Mishnah speaks about Eser Kedushot, 10 systems of holiness, each one going closer and closer to the epicenter of Kedusha. It has ripple effects. You throw a stone into water, there's the meeting point between the stone and the water, and it creates ripples. The center is Mizbeach, and it goes out from there. Now let's go back to the Rambam. So to what's it called? Sorry. Line number 50. Ki bachar hu amar vayehi. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says yehi. Hu tziva vayamod. He commands it and it stands. The world stands. What is the next stage? Where am I going to create, in inverted commas, my epicenter? Where am I going to stay? What does HaKadosh Baruch Hu say? Ki bachar Hashem b'tzion. Tzion really means what? Tziyun. What is Tziyun? When you use your guide, your Waze or Google Maps, all of a sudden you see the pin on the phone. This is where I've got to get to. Where was the pin of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? The pin was the place of the Mizbeach. That's where he wanted it. Why? Because this was my meeting point. This was my creation. I began creating from there. And that's why it's called Tzion. Meeting point. Not Zionism. Joke. The point. Tziyun is a point. An exact place. HaKadosh Baruch Hu chooses this place. This point. That's the Bechira. Why? Iva. He had a desire, L'moshav lo, to make this place his what? The place where he's going to live. In inverted commas. That is what the Rambam tells us. Let's carry on one more stage. Says the Chassam Sofer. Chassam Sofer, line number 90. Chassam Sofer lived in Pressburg, one of the greatest Rabbonim in the 1800s. Prolific. Okay, and anybody says he wasn't a Zionist, believe me, he was the arch Zionist. Okay? Kraktiv. It's written in the Torah, V'kamta v'alita. You'll get up and go to the place. Uperish Rashi, Mikan, Shegavoa Beis HaMikdosh b'kol Eretz Yisrael. The Beis HaMikdosh is higher than Eretz Yisrael. Okay? Now, Rashi didn't have maps. I doubt it very much whether he knew how to travel from northern France to Eretz Yisrael. Pardon? By ship. But did he know the exact directions? Perhaps. What? Yeah, but did he know geography of Eretz Yisrael? He didn't know. Topography of Eretz Yisrael, and that's what the Chassam Sofer says. He says, "Uvechidishei Torah sheli biarti shelichor yipalei leimor mikan shegavoa." It's the highest placed. Malashon mikan nichsianan. V'hu davar hanireh la'ayin. Let's go to Eretz Yisrael and see if it's the highest place in Eretz Yisrael. Of course it's not. V'nimdad bekaneh. Let's measure it. Let's measure Har HaBayis. What do you mean v'kamta ba'alita? You'll go up. V'od she'emet einoked. It's not the truth. Anybody who knows the maps, we talk about the 17th century, where obviously even the Chassam Sofer doesn't know what we know nowadays. Okay? So he says, what does it mean? The highest place. So I says the Chassam Sofer, Ele mikan, shebeis hamikdosh גבוה מכל ארץ ישראל, שהוא משתיתו של העולם. It is the place where it was stretched. It doesn't mean physically higher. It means spiritually higher. הוא משתיתו של עולם, מתחילת יצירה. והוא מרכז ונקודה האמצעי שבכדור הארץ. That is this point of the meeting between spirituality and physicality which exists. That is the meeting point, and that's why it's higher spiritually. Right. That's the first thesis. The first thesis is basically what is Eretz Yisrael. And therefore Eretz Yisrael is not something in the world of HaKadosh, or in the world of Rav Kook, etc., etc., and as we've seen here, it is something to do just a place of refuge for the Jewish people in the case of anti-Semitism. It's not a place of refuge. It's not even a place of what? Of keeping mitzvahs. It's something far deeper than that. It's the meeting point between what? The spiritual and the physical. Now, where do we get all this from? Sounds great. Sounds great, guys. But where does it start from? Now, no, it doesn't start from there. There has to be sources. Okay, what?
They made up these sources.
Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim v'sa'aretz. Says Rashi, the famous statement of Rabbi Yitzchak. Why does HaKadosh Baruch Hu start the whole story of Bria? What's it there for, says Rabbi Yitzchak? Should have been HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem. Start off with mitzvahs. What are we worried about? Bereshis. What do we need the story of Avram Avinu for? You're giving us laws. What do we need all the history for? What does Rashi come along and tell us? Rashi comes along and tells us, no. The Torah isn't just to give laws. It's going to teach us how the Jewish people received Eretz Yisrael. Omar Rabbi Yitzchak. How does HaKadosh Baruch Hu open up the Torah? He says, Rabbi Yitzchak, that if the Goyim will ever come and tell you you stole Eretz Yisrael, bring out the Torah. Okay? Bring out the Torah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives Eretz Yisrael to Avram Avinu, and he gives it to Yitzchak, and he gives it to Yaakov. And every vision which the Avos have, always speaks about giving them Eretz Yisrael. Right. That is the thesis which we're going to speak about. Questions? Yeah.
If you can carry it even further back, the concept that I learned was that Hashem says that I made the earth. It's mine. I can do with it as I.
We will speak. That was unfortunately something happened here that we didn't. The printer, that was me. Okay, in my edition, which before I sent, I put in Rashi and the Ramban. That's what we're going to speak about. The next year, next week, in Eretz Hashem, Rashi, Ramban, and the whole development of Eretz Yisrael through the eyes, especially of the Ramban. But that, guys, is the thesis. The thesis is basically HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates 4 concepts. Time, which is hidden. The whom, Am Yisrael. The where, Eretz Yisrael. And the how is mitzvahs. And the 3 or the 4 are all combined together. See you next week, guys.
It's a picture of the Rabbi. No, it has a picture of the Rabbi on it. Some do not. The little can is one upstairs.
I think we have to do another MRI.
סוף הרב נחמיה תאילו.